Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm here to talk about Orphan Black, episode 403, titled The Stigmata of Progress, which premiered Thursday, April 28, 2016 on Space and BBC America. And guys, sorry for the delay, but I actually have one of my very good friends with me to talk about the episode. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. Hi, guys. My name is Addie, and I'm here with Mel. We're both big fans of Orphan Black, so I'm really excited to talk to you guys about our thoughts on this new episode and what we think is going to happen this season.
We actually got together today because it's my birthday this week, so we thought, why not record something? So this
Happy
time,
birthday to Mel.
Thank you. So we're going to try 20 minutes today, guys. Let's see if we can actually do it. So clock starting. So something new that we learned in this episode today, actually, with Sarah, we actually find her trying to get this implant that we learned last episode that had her in her cheek, which was pretty disgusting. So this whole episode, we saw her trying to take the thing out, though, and we actually saw her at one point being mistaken as Beth. Is that right?
Again, yeah.
So it seemed to be done by this nurse, and she actually tried to help. It seemed like she actually helped get Beth with an implant to begin with, from the sounds of it.
I think, from what it looked like, her task was to get Beth away from the clinic. So she pretended to be Beth's ally. And I think I don't know if she knew that Beth was implanted or if Beth was ever implanted. I think it came as a surprise to her when she found out that Beth, quote unquote Beth, had an implant. Yeah. So I think that wasn't part of the plan. So she either feels like something has happened behind her back, or maybe she knows this is one of the clones, and she's pretending that she still thinks it's Beth in order to keep her there. But I guess we'll find out we won't find out what she thinks now that she's dead.
Yeah. This episode actually shows the introduction of the nurse, only to be killed off later off by Ferdinand. As you guys remember, he was from Topside, and he ended up being the nemesis that Mrs. S found herself aligning with when she was trying to find a doctor to help, or a dentist, I should say, to help Sarah remove the cheek implant. But when they found out that she was missing, or she forgot to check in, Ferdinand just happened to be with them at the time that they got that news, so he stepped in and gave his helpful hint and got rid of the nurse that tried to double-cross Sarah.
Which brings us to an interesting question, actually. Is Ferdinand part of Neolution? Does he run this operation, or did he just intercept that message somehow and show up just in time?
I don't think he's part of Neolution, because in last season when he found out that there was someone inside Dyad that was part of Neolution, that's when he kind of went berserker and tried to kill his bodyguard, that was that chauffeur of his.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, Neolution scum and stuff like that. So I don't think he's a part of it, but I think he's, like, against them in some sense. But I don't know how he got to intercept what
so
Mrs.
whoever
S was
that the
looking
nurse
for.
called is still coming. So I guess when the next episode starts, they're going to be running away from whoever it is that
That's
the nurse
true.
initially called.
That's very true, though. So the question is, who exactly did they call would be another thing.
And
Good
who's
point.
coming?
Well, now I'm worried about that, though. But that was it for Sarah, though. So based off of Cosima, though, she and Scott actually did a little scan on Sarah's cheek implant, but they have no idea what it does or how it's supposed to be taken out without killing the host.
Yeah.
But Cosima actually learned something from Allison today, and what did Allison end up doing today, Addie?
So Allison, this was actually one of my favorite parts of the episode. The whole, Hendrixes start a new project in their garage, as they tell Helena, and they start digging up Dr. Leakey's body because they want to use his cheek, which Allison is pretty sure, since he was Neolution, that he must have this implant too. So Allison wants to dig it up, wants to give his head to Cosima to I guess, research on to figure out, you know, if there's a way they can get rid of this thing, to even find out what it does, which I think it comes from a really nice place. And it's one of the things that I think really shows the development that Allison has gone through, where she went from being such a self-preserving person in the first season to now where she's like, my sister's sick, Donnie, what else do you want me to do?
Plus, it's also the fact that she's willing to go to such extent to get, because now we have to remember she buried Dr. Leakey in her garage and then she cemented him into the floor.
Yeah.
So she had to get a jackhammer, she had to dig him back up, and then she had to deal with
Risk
the fact
exposure.
and his decomposing, smelly body when she's already so health conscious to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's like she truly went beyond
All out.
Yeah, to get that little cheek implant of theirs. So Kasim actually has to be told by Donnie the fact that he's actually dead. Dr. Leakey was killed by me, because before that she thought he ran away, as the Dyad cover story had stated. So while that was all happening for them,
And I love how, just a thing here, I love how Donnie just tried to, like, you know, do we really have to tell her? And then he tries to brush it under the rug, like, oh no, you know, he's dead, but now you have something to experiment on. There's the bright side. The whole thing was just so funny. And Helena pretending to be Allison with the homicide detectives. I did
Yeah.
not see that coming.
yeah, it was Helena was meant to only be the babysitter for the Gemma and Oscar, but she ended up being having to take on as Allison when the homicide detectives came by to look into the garage massacre with the whole drug ring that last season. And Helena surprisingly did the job well. She may have flubbed a few times. They may have caused suspicion when Donnie tried to take over Helena's answers, but Helena came through with answers that Allison should be the only one to know.
Yeah.
So begs the question, how exactly does Helena do her undercover stuff so well when she seems like she's not really
paying attention?
Yeah.
I think she picks up on a lot more than she lets on. And she might know what's going on in the garage and not say anything about it. Though every time Helena is left alone with the children, at the back of my head, I always have this voice saying, would you really leave your kids alone with Helena?
Well, you know, she's not going to let anything bad happen to them if, like, some axe-wielding murderer comes, because she's going to take them out.
She's the best bodyguard they could have.
It seemed like she did know to an extent what was going on in the garage. She even said, like, she even offered her help.
Yeah.
But Donnie just said, like, we don't really need anyone dying
It's
today.
just a project.
Yeah. But also, though, Helena actually did get a hold of Sarah in this episode and told her about the twins.
Yeah.
And she actually told Sarah that she did not want the twins to turn out like her.
Which I thought was a really big moment for her because, you know, she went from being someone who was so brainwashed to someone who was a bit more aware of what she had become and wanting something better for her own kids. I think it's really nice to see that character development from season 1 to where she is now.
It still surprised me that she's still even in their group, because in season 1 she was trying to kill them all.
Yeah.
So they've definitely come a very long way, and it definitely shows a true testament to them on what blood means to them, because of the fact that they're all each other's clones, and that's kind of what the first reason why they're sticking together, because the fact they're clones, they're associating that as them being sisters.
Yeah, I think after last season's finale where they, you know, had that sit-down dinner all around, I think it was Thanksgiving or something, I think that really solidified them as a family, and now it's so natural for them to think of each other as sisters.
That was a cool scene for them to shoot, just to begin with.
They actually did a Daily Planet special about that.
Really?
Yeah, I watched it a while ago, but it was really cool where they had people who would stand on marks, who would wear the wigs and stuff, and they shot it over like a series of shots.
I think it took them 2 days.
Yeah, and they have a camera that actually mechanically follows the exact same steps that it did previously, so it's not like hand operated, so they can never go wrong.
Yeah, technology today, people, is like fantastic.
It's amazing.
So the last clone we actually saw was Rachel. It's the first time we're actually seeing her in this season, and we see that her recovery is going well. We actually see her interaction with Charlotte, who is I guess you can call her the mini clone.
Well,
she's
we
kind of
find
their
out
8-year-old version of her.
So she's I think in some ways Rachel, after she finds out that Charlotte is another clone, I think in some ways she's starting to see her as her daughter.
Yeah.
She's very protective of her. She's trusting her with, getting her messages out. So I'm really interested. And I think
She actually found out, though, that she's actually cloned from her, though.
Yeah, she's cloned from Rachel herself.
So that's like a different
And
version.
Susan comes back.
Yeah, with that news. So
yeah.
that's kind of disturbing for Rachel in a sense. It's like,
And I think one of the reasons Rachel, I mean, I didn't think about this before, but after having met her mother, I think one of the reasons Rachel has always wanted so badly to be a mother is because of her own abandonment issues. Her father abandoned her. She thought her mother was dead, only to find out that she was alive. Dr. Leakey betrayed her in some ways, who was her father figure. So I think that really stems from this absence that she's always felt of, parental figures in her life.
yeah, and the real kicker also was Susan Duncan. She not only left Rachel, but she ended up adopting a Castor clone by the name of Ira to take on as her own son, who's actually Rachel's doctor in this sense. So it's mixed up to the point that she left one clone who's supposed to be her daughter only to adopt a different clone.
A self-aware clone, too.
Yeah, but he's never met any of his Castor brothers, so there's that sense. I wasn't expecting a new Castor clone to begin with.
I wasn't either, because I just figured most of them had died in that big explosion.
Yeah, I thought they were all there.
Yeah.
But apparently not.
Did Mark die last season?
No, he's still alive. He's still with Grace, I think.
Yeah.
But they have that whole neurological defect that they have to worry about, because that's what they were searching the original for. Because
And she was pregnant, right?
Grace?
Wasn't Grace pregnant?
I think she lost the baby, though.
Oh, okay. So the Castor, I was thinking about this the other day, actually. We know most of the female clones are sterile. Are the Castor clones sterile as well?
Yeah, because I think the reason why Grace lost the baby was because she had sex with Mark, because they were weaponizing the fact that they are sterilizing any of the women that they've had sex with. I think that's what they were weaponizing. So I think that's why she had lost the baby, because of that.
Oh, that really sucks.
Because then when they gave the virus to Sarah, they found that it didn't work on her because of the fact that she
is a clone herself.
not just a clone, but the fact that she's the anomaly among the clones, because of the fact that she was able to have Kira, the fact that now Helena is able to have Kira, because have twins because of the fact that they're both twins themselves. So it must have been something that Dyad or Neolution had done while they were watching the other clones that made them sterile, because Helena and Sarah were never watched, so they were never given the same treatment. So
Right.
that's something.
There's something missing.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another thing. Do you think, because, we talked about this, Helena and Sarah are twins. Helena's having twins. Twins clearly run in that cell line. Their version. Do you think Kira had a twin?
It's difficult, because on one hand, I want to say yes, it's possible, but that's only if Dyad and Neolution and all that knew that Sarah existed. Then maybe they could have taken the second baby away at the hospital and then had Sarah none the wiser, because she would have been hopped up on all the pain meds.
Right.
But they were never aware of her, so then it would have been a lot harder, unless Sarah was the type of unfit mother to the point that she had to give away one of her kids. But then why would she keep one?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
But we know that she was pregnant before, and she had been, and she had that aborted. So it'd be interesting.
That might have been it.
Yeah. So it's tough to say, though. It seems that we're going to learn a bit more about that, though. But also, we mentioned Ferdinand earlier. It turns out that the secret message that Rachel wanted to send out, and Charlotte did that because she has internet access, and Rachel has denied that, is the fact that she wanted to tell Ferdinand that Susan Duncan was alive.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to change anything at all?
I think it certainly gives Ferdinand more information than he had previously to work with. He's, clearly trying to bring down the illusion.
He told Sarah, so...
Yeah, so I think they're definitely going to do something. What they might do, I have no idea. We don't even know where Rachel is. So I think first step is really finding Rachel. I can't remember. Does Sarah know that Rachel is still alive?
I think so. I think she's the one that told Ferdinand that Neolution had kidnapped her.
Oh, okay.
I think that's why that got him on their side briefly before they found out that there was Neolution had gotten into Dyad just before that whole Dr. Nielsen attacking Delphine with his own little matured version of the worm, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So that was creepy too.
It was so creepy.
But that's it on that island front. But little Charlotte is sick, so she seems to be experiencing some of the same respiratory symptoms that Cosima is dealing with. Yeah. So we're gonna have to. I remember that being brought up in the promo for next week. So hopefully we'll see something about that. But moving outside of the clones with Felix, though, we actually learn a bit more about him. Actually, we found out that his mother was a dancer who ended up having an affair with an American man. And that man had another daughter. So Felix has a biological half-sister named Adele, who is a disbarred lawyer. Yeah. Who is almost like Felix in the sense that she likes her alcohol and she likes her drugs.
Yeah. And she's, to me, I guess I'd always assumed that his biological family was going to be British, so I was really thrown off to hear like that
Southern,
strong
right?
Texas accent. Yeah. Not the best accent for the actress, I have to say. But it was interesting. I think she's more perceptive than she lets on. Like, when Felix and her are having that conversation later where she's like, well, your adopted sister didn't really seem too keen on it, which I would not have
But I think anybody would have picked up on that, though.
Really?
Just from Sarah's attitude, she was not having it. She, did not want her there. She wanted her gone. The fact that she wanted her away from the conversation.
And I think she definitely is taking the wrong path here. I know Sarah's probably feels threatened as, the sister that she's grown, she's the sister that he's grown up with. But I think it's definitely natural for Felix to want that.
To find that blood connection. Yeah, for sure. But then Sarah's also the fact that she's got this worm in her head that could go off at any minute and kill her.
Yeah.
So she's got that much on her plate as well.
That is true. She has a lot on her plate.
Yeah. But also, aside from Felix, though, from Kira, we are seeing some strange things happening with her.
Yeah.
She seems to be having more trance-like visions, and it's on a drop of a hat, she changes from being this happy-go-lucky kid to this really zoned-out kid with an attitude. And she's having visions of Sarah being burned by the clones because of the fact that she's changing.
So I wonder if this is a prediction that whatever's in her mouth is going to cause her. So somebody, I think it was Dizzy, MK's friend Dizzy says, it's precariously close to your brain. So I wonder if it's going to change her mind in some way.
I thought naturally it would just change her being paranoid to the sense that anything could set it off. But if it's actually changing them, I'm wondering if mindless minion would be something that happens.
Maybe. Or someone they can control easily.
Yeah, it's definitely weird that we're seeing Kira. We've always had inclinations of her having this sixth sense, when something's happening or something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Or something's wrong. Back in Iceland, she had a sense that something was approaching just before they saw the headlights coming. Before Sarah was arrested back in season 1,
that is true.
She had a sense that she felt like something bad was going to happen just after she got hit by that car.
Yeah.
Or by the ambulance, and then the police raided the place. So it's just weird to see how quickly they're suddenly putting her in trance mode to get these maybe visions that may or may not come true.
But I mean, is this really a show that believes in visions? It's such a scientific show. I guess I'm a little surprised by Kira having telepathic powers.
Yeah, but then they've always put an emphasis on the fact that Kira, being a daughter of a clone, is supposed to be a scientific breakthrough. So with them being all about evolution and self-directed evolution, what if it just happened to be that the fact that she's a daughter of a clone meant that maybe this supernatural quality is an evolutionary upgrade type thing,
it's just
mutants
the
and
next
X-Men
step.
and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe they're going with that.
I guess that could
I would have
be.
expected maybe that could happen if it was Kira's daughter, the grandchild of a clone, maybe.
Yeah.
But who knows? But moving on to most shocking moment of the episode, I think we both agreed that it was Rachel sending an SOS message to Ferdinand. For some strange reason, I thought she would send it to Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
I thought it would have been to someone she actually trusts, and I never got the feeling that she trusted Ferdinand.
I didn't think she trusted anybody.
Yeah.
To begin with, but like, I thought it's like she ended things so at odds with Ferdinand. I think that I didn't think she'd contact him again though. But and always thought that it was Ferdinand who had more of a personal attachment to Rachel than the other way around. So I thought it would make more sense if he contacted her than her contacting him.
Well, maybe she's relying on him having that attachment to her to help, to get his help. Yeah, to save her. Because he still has that emotional connection to her, and she's very savvy in using him.
Yeah, no problem with that. Okay, so moving on to favorite moments. You mentioned earlier that your favorite was the whole Hendrix house. So for me personally, it's definitely just the whole digging up Dr. Leakey's body. And I know that sounds morbid as ever, but it's just the fact that for Allison and Donnie, their reactions to digging up that body were so genuine, and they're so comedic in the sense that you actually feel like you're there because of how they're reacting. Their reaction to like the horrid smell, their reaction to seeing how, and there's the alarm if anyone can't hear it, but we're still keep going.
Yeah.
Definitely, when have I ever stopped just when the timer goes off? But like their reactions gives the sense that you're actually there. So the fact that he's trying not to puke, and the fact that they're reacting to the skin peeling off the body.
Oh God.
The acting was just so spot on, and their reactions just made it more comedic for me to watch. Although I'd probably be in that same situation or same reactive state as them if I had to be in that situation. God forbid, I never am.
Oh gosh!
But I just thought that was pretty funny.
They are so funny, and I think one of the things I love about Allison and Donnie is how well they play off each other. I mean, Tatiana is amazing, but I think she especially shines in Allison. Especially when she's with Donnie, she's like this whole different person.
Plus, you never expect it from these two because they, on the outside, they are the suburban housewife and husband family.
Which is the irony, isn't it?
Yeah. So they're the Bonnie and Clyde of like the group,
the whole group.
They've already killed Dr. Leakey. They had their own drug ring, and then Helena just killed that whole competing competition. So they were definitely a favorite for me. And the fact that Donnie tried telling Cosima that it's no big deal, I killed Dr. Leakey, but there's something good that happens from it, while Cosima's just sitting there going, wait, what?
I mean, even the way he kills Leakey, like at the beginning of the episode, they showed the
how it happened.
Flashbacks. Yeah. It's like he sneezed.
He banged his hand with the gun on the steering wheel, and then it goes off. It's like, first off, your hand has to already be near the trigger for that to happen.
It's like the most grotesque, unintentional murder I've ever seen.
Yeah, but then it's hilarious because of the fact that you never think that someone would die just because the person managed to hit the gun on the steering wheel that had ricochet into their head. It's just only Donnie would,
yeah.
So what was the most peeved moment of the episode? So I said it last week, and it definitely is the fact that Felix is dismissing the Sarah, the way he did, especially with him picking Adele over Sarah. Mm-hmm. The only reason I have that issue is because I love Sarah and Felix. I love their brother-sister relationship. I love that he was always there for her. And then while I understand that he wants to go on his own journey and find where he comes from and everything, but the fact that Sarah is being hunted down by this group just for being who she is, and then now she has this implant even though he doesn't know about it, is another thing that it's another reason why it even bugs me even more that Felix is dismissing her, because then the next time he sees her, that could be the very last time.
Dead, yeah.
That's the very last time he could see her. It's like him refusing to help her this episode. What if she had been taken by the people the nurse had called in? That could have been the very last time he saw Sarah. So
and I think he would have felt terrible about it too. Like, even though I agree with you, I definitely don't like that they're fighting, but I think he still loves her deep down, and I think he's just sort of working out his own issues somewhere.
Yeah. But like for Sarah, I don't think she would have involved Felix unless it was a serious issue. And, like, I would think that Felix would know that by this point, that Sarah doesn't get him involved unless it's, like, some very deep trouble that she's in, where she really trusts him enough that she needs his help to get out of it type thing. Yeah. So it's just the the fact that they were so angry at each other in this episode, she even told him piss off. So it's like, it's hard to see with these two because like they've been each other's rock, and then they've grown up being the outcasts of the group. So there's that. But you had a peeve moment, did you not?
I did, yeah. So, and I think this is something that's been sort of happening over the last few episodes where, you know, we haven't really seen Sarah being mistaken as Beth for the third season. It was totally...
mainly season 1,
yeah,
and maybe a bit
it was
season
mostly
2.
season 1, a little bit of season 2, but then after that, the whole Beth thing kind of died. So it's been really surprising and a little distracting for me as a viewer to constantly have Sarah again be mistaken for Beth, because I think just from a storyline perspective, that had kind of dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, but
a little bit.
We also have to remember that for them, it's only been a few months.
Has it?
Yeah, because Helena's still pregnant. She's been pregnant since season 2.
Oh, right.
So, like, because Beth, I believe, died in November for them. So I think the fact that it's not even been 9 months, because 9 months would have been whatever season 2 took off of, and Helena's just showing in her pregnancy.
That is true.
So, technically, Beth hasn't been dead for a year for them. So, for us, it may seem odd, but I definitely get how, like... Plus, also, she wasn't always home. Like, season 2, she was off at the Castor camp.
That is
being
true.
held prisoner. So I was like, I'm just going to mistake her as that. And she was always dealing with people who already knew the fact that she is a clone, who already knew that Beth was already dead.
Right.
But the fact that she's sniffing around Beth's old life, chances are they're going to mistake her, because, like...
No,
just out of, like, whoever hasn't had the news, because I think we also mentioned this when they first announced there was a death at the train station. They first said it was Sarah. I don't think they ever did a recast saying that mistaken, and it's actually Beth.
I mean, did they ever find out it was Beth?
Yeah, they did. They found out that it was Beth, I think, 109, 110.
Okay.
But I don't think they ever made the news to everybody else that that was a mistake.
Okay.
So that could always be why more people are assuming that. It's definitely not people who used to be in season 1 who had mistaken her for Beth. It's always people who are in the flashbacks you see, and they actually met the real Beth. And then,
or when she's retracing Beth's steps, I guess. That makes sense. I think it's just distracting because it sort of was not a storyline last season, so it sort of gets...
it's easy to forget, because it's a year for us, but not for them.
Exactly, so it's just taking a bit of getting used to.
Yeah. So, last peeve for me, though, is definitely Susan Duncan, the professor herself. It's just the whole episode. Yes, she claims that she felt disconnected with Rachel, and yes, she contradicts herself by adopting Ira.
Yeah.
It makes
and
no
actually
sense.
Raising him.
Yeah, so I totally am on board with Rachel hating her and wanting to take her down. Because, like, that's like a woman scorned right there, and hell hath no fury, right? So, hopefully we see the downfall of Susan, because she chose to leave. It's not like with her father, who hid because Leaky wanted him dead.
And it's no wonder Rachel has so many, like, abandonment issues. I mean, look at how her parents have treated her. So I'm looking forward to seeing how their relationship, you know, develops or comes to a conclusion. I think if we're talking about the whole season, I don't necessarily see Susan surviving the entire season.
I hope not. I hope she doesn't.
Yeah.
But then again, that's morbid me, people. You know that. So, what will you remember most about this episode?
I think I will 2 things. The Hendrixes, I keep saying this, and I think the very last scene when Ferdinand shows up and sort of rescues Sarah. I thought that was a very memorable, sort of an OMG scene.
Yeah.
Very gory.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect him to go all out and, like, save her, but then it's kind of weird where his loyalties lies, unless he thinks that saving Sarah is going to save Rachel in some way. Unless that's where his loyalties go to. But
I mean, when we look at the promo for next week, I think he says to Sarah, you know, you share your source and we'll both get what we want. So I think he's partly also after the DNA of the original.
Well, he almost had her. He just let her go. But, yeah, I definitely remember that. It's probably Leaky's body, and them digging him up would probably be a big reminder in itself for me, though. But, quick questions, guys. We actually went over a few throughout this video, but I guess we already have... Well, for me, I'm wondering if Adele's really Felix's sister.
I wonder that too, because in the show, nothing is ever really as it seems.
Unless they're making that seem like that's the one straightforward thing you're gonna get from us, but it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's just because we know that the father they share is dead.
Yeah.
So like we have to. I really want to know how Felix was able to find not only who his father was, since his mother was a dancer.
Yeah.
And find out that he was from America and everything, and then how he found her. It just seems like
a lot of leaps that he's taken off screen.
Yeah, and it's just I'd rather see like the paper trail
Mhm.
that he might have had, or even just a board of him trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And because like there's like nothing like if you were to see them walking down the street together, I would never pinpoint the fact that they were half siblings, because usually there's always like something you would have in common with a blood relative, whether it's the eyes, whether it's the hair, or
The
whether
hair,
it's
the hair is definitely different.
facial feature or something. There's always something, and yet with these two, they're like completely different.
They seem to have similar personalities.
But that's a personality thing, though.
I guess.
It's like you can be raised in the same environment, you have the same upbringing, you have the same tendencies.
I mean, look at the clones.
Yeah, unless they're bringing up in this case the fact that they're blood related and yet they were raised separately and yet they have these same tendencies, unless they're going for that route. But like, if I were to walk down the street and see the two of them together, I would not think that they were related in any way. So like, even if she had black hair, I'd probably be more, even if it's something superficial like that, I'd be more convinced of the fact that, because then I would automatically assume she has black hair. It's not that she dyed it or anything like that.
I think the thing that makes me suspicious is just how abruptly she showed up on screen. You know, there was no build up to it. So I definitely agree with you. It does seem a little shady, and I guess we'll find out as the season progresses if she's really his sister.
Because I was under the impression he was still trying to find them, not that he had already found them. Like in second episode last week, we just found out that he was on the verge of finding his birth family.
Yeah.
And Allison seemed to be aware of this journey for him. So I was assuming we weren't going to see any resolution to that until maybe mid-season or the second half.
Or maybe that we'd actually see his journey to finding them.
Yeah, not the fact that, I found my sister in the next episode, which is kind of weird in itself. But we covered all the other questions, didn't we?
I think so. One of the things that I'm actually wondering, whatever happened to Casima's army girlfriend? Did we ever find out?
Oh, Shay.
Oh, did she die, didn't she?
No.
No?
Delphine gave her blessing for her to not only be with Casima, but to know the truth about her being a clone.
Really?
Yeah, and that was in the finale, but then
She
that's
just
it.
disappeared.
I don't think they ever had that conversation to begin with, unless she went off and to find out about Delphine. Because like you said, she was in the army. Maybe she thought doing those old roots, maybe she was part of who killed Delphine. We don't even know if she was actually killed or not, because there was actually some theories on Tumblr right after the finale that Delphine could have orchestrated the whole thing to put herself further underground to give everyone the impression.
To hide, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I hope Delphine's alive.
Because she
love
knew her shooter. She even asked, will she be safe?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's one thing we don't know about. She wasn't mentioned this episode, so hopefully we'll get something like that. But predictions, though, we went into a few of them, actually, just recently. But based off the promo, we actually just rewatched it. For promo, we saw Donnie and Felix going undercover as a couple, it looks like. And we're thinking we think it might be at some fertility clinic as an investigative thing, because another bit of the promo shows Donnie making a very embarrassing phone call to Allison about it.
Because he needs to get it up.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see Donnie and Felix. I don't think we've actually seen them with scenes together, just the two of them.
Not yet, no.
Yeah, so that'll be funny.
Especially acting, Donnie, who's very square, and Felix, who's very flamboyant. I think them trying to be a couple.
That'd be funny.
It's going to be very funny.
It's very possible that we might see Crystal Gottrich again. If you remember, she's the clone that we learned in episode 308. And she might be connected to MK. We're not sure. We did see a clone with
photo of that.
Dirty blonde hair. A clone of that with MK. So we're thinking Crystal's the only clone that we've met so far that matches
that description.
That, I guess, appearance, because we can't say description because they're all clones
of
each other. So she might have a connection to that, though. But based off what we saw in this episode, I'm predicting that there are going to be tensions between Donnie and Allison because of Helena.
I think so. I think especially because
they're experiencing a lot more together.
I think Allison is always a been sad about the fact that she couldn't have biological children.
And now Donnie's experiencing that
with her.
Experience with Helena.
Without her.
And without Allison, too,
And I think it's unfortunate that Allison can't be there in the room to experience those things with them because, you know, she's pretending to be Allison. Helena is pretending to be Allison.
Yeah, and it's not like it's Helena, and then Allison could just pretend to be Sarah because those two are technically actually official twins.
Yeah.
So it's not, they can't even do that without
So.
it being difficult, because I would assume Helena's wanted just for the fact that all of her
Could she
season one
pretend to be
kidneys-
Beth, though?
Who?
Could Allison pretend to be Beth and show up to Helena's appointment?
But then she's pretending to be a dead woman walking then.
But I mean, not everyone knows Beth is dead.
Maybe. But then how would Beth know Helena? Or was it Beth knowing Allison?
How would Beth know Allison?
'Cause
They look alike.
Yeah, but before that, they try to keep their association separate so that
That's
they could
true.
connect the clones together.
Yeah.
So that would have been a good one, though.
That would have been interesting.
I would love more clone impersonations. I love it
Yes.
when they do that, because then it's just a real true testament to Tatiana's acting skills, when she
She's
can play
amazing.
one clone while pretending to be another,
Yeah.
while not accidentally pretending to be the original clone or the clone she's trying to pretend to be.
Yeah.
So that's truly something there, though. But you also thought that we might learn more about the implants, right?
Yeah, I think Ferdinand knows more than we've heard. I think he's definitely going to hold on to that information to get what he wants.
I'm not going to like what that information is going to be. I can
I
already
don't
sense that right now.
So, especially with Kira's premonitions, I don't think it's necessarily going to be.
But you had one
positive
about that too,
information.
though. You actually thought that the premonition of Sarah supposedly burning by the other clones, it couldn't.
Yes.
It might not actually be Sarah.
Exactly. So I think it might be another clone that Kira's seeing, and she thinks it's her mom because she sees the rest of the clones around her.
Yeah.
But it might not even be Sarah. It might just be another clone that she's seeing burning, and maybe by the end of the season we'll find out who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there seems to be no shortage of clones in the show.
Which is always fun, just to see who else is out there, though.
Exactly.
But that's about it, guys. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you like about it? What are your own thoughts and theories? Let me know in the comment below. And include anything. If you have your own questions, I'll be happy to answer them as best I can. And yeah, also don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. I try to post promos, sneak peeks, web clips, synopses for Orphan Black. You got 2 links for that down below. One for this episode and one for the master page itself. I believe it's the 3rd episode listed on that link, so just check that out right there. I'm a little behind for Tumblr, but I'll get right on it soon, hopefully. But Addie, where can they find you?
You can also find me on Tumblr. Mel will post a link
Down in the description box
down in
below.
description box. So subscribe, like this video, and check that page out. And I am so excited that I got to talk to you guys about this. Thanks for having me, Mel.
Thank you for doing this for me. It's definitely longer than the 20 minutes we were aiming for,
Yeah.
but we actually finally got to record something together, though. So that's hopefully we can do it again later on in the future.
Yeah.
If you guys like it, post a comment and then tell us if you like actually having a dual conversation, because it's the first time I'm actually able to talk to someone about it. So on screen for you guys or in person or something. But yeah, so ignore my babbling, guys. But
Tell us what you think.
yes, and if you remember, special week for me this week, so let's see if you paid attention. But yeah, so tune in next Thursday, hopefully, see what I have to say about this upcoming episode. But until then, this is Mel and Addie wishing you all a great day, great week wherever you are. And don't forget, Mother's Day is coming up too, so spread that love to all your mothers out there.
Definitely buy a gift.
Bye, guys.